All right. Welcome everyone to another episode of the OpenJS Foundation's Cross-Project Council meeting, the first one of 2023. Put a comment in here on the stream. Yeah, I guess we'll start with announcements. Right?
Yes. So OpenJS World is on for 2023. We're super excited. The CFP's just opened. We are co-locating with Linux Foundation's Open Source Summit. So that is May 10th through 12th. And you can submit a CFP starting now. And the deadline for that is February 5th. More details on our blog if you're interested.
Cool. And you said May 10th through 12th. Is that the larger event? And do we have one day? Is that right? Or two? I can't recall.
Yeah, so the event is the 10th through the 12th, and we'll have kind of our own OpenJS track during that. And we are also planning on a collaborator summit the day before on May 9th.
Oh, great. So we essentially have 3 days of our track at the larger events.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Remote Mike Samuel here. Great. Thank you, Kylie. Any other announcements? It's a new year. That we can announce that.
Happy New Year. I know. Exciting.
Onward and upward.
Yep.
Cool. Anything board related? I assume not, but I'll ask.
No, I think our board meeting is Fridays at January 20th. Did I get that right in my head? Off the top of my head, it's always the third Friday of the month, unless there's a face-to-face or a holiday.
I don't know how I didn't know that third Friday thing, even though I've been sitting in the seat for a really long time. Cool. All right. Well, with that, we can get into the agenda here. The first item on the agenda is issue 982. I opened this up last year, because we had a few straggler issues about sort of a review process. I think, this is something we thought would be great in the early days, before perhaps we knew how much bandwidth folks in the community and folks in the foundation might have. I haven't looked at these comments lately, but does anybody want to chime in on this? Sorry, I'm reading the comments as I'm seeing if anybody has anything. So I don't know.
This is the 360 review.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like, my comment was NPS, I think, is like low effort for both us if we wanted to come up with like 5 questions or something, and also low overhead for people. So I agree with Jordan's comments that like, hey, it's not perfect, but I think in terms of effort invested versus some data, it's so worth it in my mind.
I don't have a better suggestion, right? I'm not, so like we can do NPS. It's more just that, like, I think the industry as a whole for decades has just kind of gotten complacent and just used NPS, and so no one's developed anything better. And yet everyone understands NPS when they see it, once they've taken it once, and then the results are thus no longer trustworthy. So it's like, it's just a little minor pet peeve of mine that people always use it. But I don't have a better suggestion, so it would be foolish of me to try and obstruct.
I think it would give us like, if we get a 7, you're like, we're not doing terrible. If we get a 2, then it's like, well, wait a second, why'd we get a 2? Let's go ask people, and it's, for the amount of effort, it's the least, it's a little, for the smallest effort, we'd probably get some data. So that's why I don't, like you said, like doing something else probably would require a lot more thinking.
I'm all for getting some baseline data, particularly because we're going to be moving into more of a kind of a tiered offering support, just because we have only 50% of a marketing person, and with 40 plus projects, it's difficult to provide a lot to all of them. So we typically say yes to everything, but we're just kind of getting to the point, I think, with the growth that we need to start making it a little more sort of manageable for the team.
I think NPS is really helpful when you see changes over time. Like if it suddenly tanks, then I think it said something.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And if we start with a certain score and we see that it goes up, that also, like, you know, it also is like a good sign. Hey, we're actually improving things and, you know, identifying problems and whatever.
With NPS, I'm not an expert in this sort of space, but is there like a, you know, a comment box that you also include that people can throw in some thoughts or anything like that? Because I'd just be curious, you know, more than just like a number, what people think would be.
Yeah, I think standard you're supposed to ask the number and then underneath it's like, why did you give us that number? I think there's specific wording. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm curious about some specifics, just what people are thinking, you know. And I worry too, like if we just send something out without much else, if people just think we're kind of phoning it in or something. So
I thought everyone was being really rude and kept talking over me. It turns out I was muted. Who are we going to ask from the projects?
Yeah. Yeah, this is 360 too, right? So, you know, anyway, but yeah.
I mean, do we, in my mind, it would be like the project leads for each project. So for Node, we could ask the TSC members to fill it out for each of the projects. Hopefully there's identifiable, you know, number of people.
Is there any benefit to going beyond that, I wonder, or the opposite of benefit?
I think just specifically noting who we're going to ask is important. I don't want to like have it be open and have us be like, I don't know, we're going to ask and we ask and don't get an answer. Like I feel like making sure we actually know who we're going to ask, and then having them be able to say, actually, no, this is like too much work, or oh no, this is like, all right, I'm fine with this, is also important. And being able to reframe and listen to projects if they have different needs than what we're asking.
Mm-hmm.
I would also maybe recommend we don't keep on the 360 thing. It was created by the Nazis. So maybe that's not one that we want to be framing this with.
Did you say the Nazis?
Yes. 360-degree feedback is a system first implemented by the German military in World War II. So maybe let's try to look past that specific approach.
Meaning that term, but or you mean the whole?
I mean, the term, also maybe the approach. I don't know. I think there's something to be said there for approaching it maybe differently than that.
Huh. That's weird. I've never heard about that. I mean, that's interesting. Okay. Cool. Well, all right. Well, we can I guess we need to figure out what we might ask and who we might ask, so we can work further in that issue and try to get some clarity there. If there's nothing else, I'll keep moving along. There is an issue 957 about what are these repos. You know, our good friend Ben is highlighting that we have a lot of or some repos that maybe could be archived and whatnot. I think we've gone through and cleaned up some of them, but as Toby mentioned, this could be a good working session idea.
We did one working session, remember our spring cleaning?
Yeah.
And that was useful. It's just there's a lot to organize, so.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess we should keep this on the list of things that we can work on in working session. I will continue moving along unless anybody has anything else they want to add there. The next one on the agenda is issue 953, funds for project-driven initiatives. Scrolling through to see what the latest stuff is here. And I guess, Robin, your last comments from last month.
Was a report out from the board, sort of officially. So I got one thumbs up, but do we need to communicate this more broadly? Next steps?
Yeah. It's a good question. I mean, is this something, is this the process moving forward that it would just be on an ad hoc basis requested to the
Yeah.
board?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, does it come through the CPC at all, or do just projects go directly to the board? I guess it would be good to clarify some of this stuff and document it.
Yeah, I think the intent, and Abby, correct me if I'm wrong, that the intent is to go through the CPC first, because then the board is not making any sort of technical strategic decisions on what to prioritize.
So the approach is the CPC, like there's no budget, so it's not like the board will give the CPC a budget, but then if a project asks, the CPC should ask the board.
I would recommend the CPC evaluate the request. Yeah.
Sure.
Was there advice or guidance on if the 10K and 2K numbers that we provided in our request was like good, or if it should be different than that, or
Or is it just all on an ad hoc basis?
I think it's in an ad hoc basis. Abby, do you want to provide any more feedback?
Yeah, I think we wanted to do things based on need. So if you have a need, come and ask the board. We didn't want to set limits saying like, oh, a project can only get this much, or should or have projects try to reach that minimum. So yeah, that was my understanding.
okay. Yeah, I think the, at least what I saw, what I recall from this is that we weren't setting a minimum necessarily, but we're setting a maximum of like, we were trying to, I think, self-moderate a bit and provide that tiering that Robin was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess so. Like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
And then just broadly, I mean, we're a healthy organization. We have great membership renewals. We have wonderful members, but our budget is flat this year. That we are having an economic downturn, and we do have a reserve that and then we have a little bit of a buffer. But again, if we opened up the floodgates to 40 projects, that could put us at financial risk. I think if we gave every project, for example, X amount of budget. So we really want to be needs-based, and where there's needs, also we can go after other grants like we've done with OpenSSF that provides that extra buffer.
I mean, the unfortunate thing is that the downturn is why these funds are going to be more needed than ever before.
And again,
just when
our
everyone's funds are drying up.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
So
And
yeah,
I guess
we
the
appreciate
approach-
our members. Yeah,
The approach is there's no budget item for this, right?
correct.
Right. So basically it's a exceptional, see if we can squeeze it into the existing budget versus a plan for in advance is the.
Or if we go back, I can also go back to existing members, some of our platinum members or gold members, to see if they could, if there's a great need, if they want to help provide additional support. So.
Okay, I'm making some notes in here just to clarify what I think we're saying here. In this issue here, so I have, as I understand it, based on conversation, it's a CPC meeting, colon, and then a bullet list here. Request should be made on an ad hoc basis. Request should come through the CPC for evaluation. Request should then be forwarded to the board for approval, and dollar amounts will be determined on an ad hoc basis. Kind of the gist of it. I will comment this.
I would maybe add the cap isn't implemented.
Cap isn't implemented?
Yeah, the cap that we proposed, that was proposed in Mateo's original comment, isn't necessarily how we're going to be doing it.
Yeah, okay. Isn't necessarily. All right, great. And do we think that this should be made clear somewhere in some sort of document? Maybe in like the project resources directory or something. Sorry, I'm not looking at the video, so I don't know if anybody's nodding or anything. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think adapting the bullets you put into a set, like a section of that would be fine.
Maybe a footnote in the community fund as well for cross-reference.
okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. So tidy, so we don't have to have this conversation again. Great. All right, anything else on that issue? If not, I will jump over to the next one. The next item is issue 910, add patching script for COC modifications. Iggy's actually said they were going to attend today, but I don't see them here. But I think that things have moved forward on this, and we just kind of need to start landing things to have this all kind of come together. There's a couple of moving parts, but I think that parts have been moved. And so now that we are beyond the holiday, I will try to pick this up again and work with Yagis and Jordan or whomever to move this forward. Cool. Which may also include the next item, update contributor covenant code of conduct. Let me just open it to make sure that there's nothing new on here, but I think this will move forward with the other work as well. So yeah. Any other thoughts or comments on that? If not, I will move on to issue 815, which is license check support and tooling. I assume that this is still, on hold until, Robin's comment here in November, on hold until LF IT is fully staffed up, looking at early 2023. So.
Actually, there's a related initiative with OpenSSF as well. If you recall, during our security working group.
Oh, yeah.
Colleague that we need to, that would sort of fall under the same initiative.
Okay.
Need to get more information. Yeah.
Yeah. And once we get some of these other, the security one going again too, it might overlap with this too.
Yeah.
Or at least be able to have more of these conversations to fully understand what the status is.
Mm-hmm.
Great. All right, so more on that later. And then the final issue on the agenda is clarify requirements around COC violation. I think we kind of made some work on this with some of the updates to the COC and COCPD, whatever. Toby's
We had a productive working session. So yeah,
we did.
it's in the PR, right?
Yeah, actually, there are a couple of PRs open. I will look to see. Yeah, so we can look at moving those forward too. I'm trying to look at Toby's. Where did that go? His list of things to get done. I lost it. There it is. Yeah, so I think some of these things are we've made progress on. Toby's checklist in issue 786. So okay, well, we should double back on this list once we kind of land some of those other things. And yeah.
The audit on who has privacy notice and who doesn't. Now that Luke's on board too, he can help because some of them are lacking the documentation. Some don't have, it's sort of broader than a code of conduct documentation. It's, do they have our footer with our privacy policy and things like that? So we'll do some follow up with the projects on that.
Okay, cool. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, great. So that is the last issue on the agenda. We need to decide what we want to work on next at the next working session. And while I'm here, I'll open up the dates and reminders direct thing here too. Looks like we don't have anything impending, so that's good. What do folks want to do next week at the working session? Maybe more of this COC stuff. Try to get that all fully squared away. I'm also going to try to get that, like I said, the patching script and stuff moving forward this week too. So that would be helpful. Any thoughts? All right. Well, maybe I'll just put that down and we'll see. So I feel like there's stuff to do there and we can work through it. Unless there's something else that someone else wanted to do. I mean, we could work on the 360, the review kind of stuff. If we want to, that's another option. Comes to mind. Might not be bad. Start the year off. All right. I think I saw one, maybe two nods, so I'm going to go with that one. Cool. Is there anything else we want to work on today? I'm getting the impression everybody's getting caught up and would be happy to have time back. So nothing. Then we'll call it early. And nice to see all you people. And I'll see you in GitHub or on Slack, and we'll meet up again soon. Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.